Okay, we'll get on underway. People can just join, and if there's anything that I've missed or anything that you need to ask, you can always ask questions in the Q&A. We will be going through a Q&A session a bit later on. So thank you for everyone for joining me today. My name is Dan Green, and I'm at Qlic IT. And today we'll be looking at cyber essentials in 2026 and just asking the simple question: are you still compliant? Okay, this isn't really going to be a massively technical session. So whether or not you're responsible for IT, management, governance, or compliance, my aim is to look at the practicalities for you and the things that you can go away after this call and check in your organization. Okay, we'll cover what's changing, what's staying the same, the common reasons organizations tend to fail, some simple activities you can take away, check over before your next assessment. Okay. And if there's any problems at all, again, please go into the Q&A, ask a question. I'm happy to answer this at the end. Okay, before we dive into the cyber essentials, I'll give you a quick introduction to Qlic IT. We've been supporting organizations for over 20 years as an MSP. We deliver managed IT support, cloud solutions, cybersecurity, and telecom services. A large part of our work is supporting charities and not-for-profit organizations, and they face unique challenges around budget, resources, and compliance. But what we can see time and time again is that organizations don't struggle because they don't care about security, because everything changes so rapidly. One thing is compliant one time, and then another time it may not be. Cloud services are constantly changing, terms of service, everything. So everything continues to expand. It's really hard to keep track of everything. All right. Especially if you're a smaller organization. It's even worse if you're a big organization, believe me. So yeah, it's really, really hard to stop Dave from accounts installing something that you probably shouldn't. Don't have the right compliance steps in place. And that's why Cyber Essentials is such a valuable commodity in today's ever-changing IT landscape. So what is Cyber Essential? So anyone that is unfamiliar and is here today to learn a bit more, Cyber Essentials, it's UK-backed government, it's a UK government-backed certification, and it's primarily designed to help organizations defend against common cyber threats. Okay, it focuses on practical security controls, rather than just throwing expensive and complex technologies at it that you have no idea what they do or why they're there. These are practical, takeaways that you can go away and do today. Okay, but it is making sure that it is consistent. That's what it's really looking for as well, consistency. The objective is to reduce the risk of things such as phishing emails, malware, password compromises, and any unauthorized access into um, any of your accounts, any of your platforms. For charities, particularly, Cyber Essentials is often becoming an expectation. Okay, for funders, partners, insurers, especially, and key stakeholders. Um, but for us, it's not just about passing the assessment. All right, we can handhold you through Cyber Essentials, absolutely, but it is demonstrating that you absolutely know that your organization takes cybersecurity seriously. Because that's all we want at the end of the day. We want you to be able to go away and know what you have, why you have it, why it's there. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. There's a lot of back and forth. Sometimes we have to be strict in our assessments. You know, we are here to make sure that everything that you have is secure, that you know why you have it and how secure it is. Okay. So moving on, what's driving the 2026 changes? So the first thing to highlight is that the 2026 changes, there's no introduction of a lot of new controls. So instead, what the focus is on these changes that have been driven this year is applying the existing controls consistently across all aspects of the assessment. So This proves to any assessor, me, you know, Frank at IASME, or whatever assessment board you use, that they know that they are part of day-to-day operations. And it's not just something you've thrown in for a one-off. It is something that is there day to day. You're protecting yourself, and you can prove this. All right. So there are several reasons for why these changes are happening. So, firstly, organizations rely very heavily on cloud services and remote working than ever before. Obviously, there's a lot of hybrid working going on since COVID, and that is grown further. Okay, people have returned to offices, yep, but there is still a lot of hybrid working going on. Secondly, IASME and Cyber Essentials want greater consistency between assessors and assessment. So we do the marking. We are assessors. We are assessor certified in Cyber Essentials, and we need to be absolutely clear that what you're using is what you definitely have. So there may be some robust questions asked, but none of the questions are there to trip you up. We just want to make sure that the emphasis is always on your operational security. Okay. It's not a witch hunt. It's just if it's not there, let's get it in place. All right. And if it's not as it should be, let's get it where it needs to be. That's pretty much Cyber Essentials in a nutshell. We need to make sure there's consistency. All right. The security aspects and how good you are shouldn't be ramped up during an audit. Okay. During audit season, it should absolutely be happening throughout your day to day. All right. So, the biggest changes to note is that if you have MFA, or sorry, if you have a platform that has MFA, if it's available, you need to have it enabled. Okay. That's one of the biggest changes. If the platform has MFA, you don't have it, as a fail. The platform has MFA and you have it, brilliant, we pass. Okay. Um, Cloud services need to be in scope. So, how we look at it is if a platform stores or processes any of your organizational information, you can't exclude it because it's simply cloud hosted. If there's any organizational information, if anything passes through it, so that would include your Office 365, your Google Workspace, um, and this would even be down to things such as payroll, your HR platform, things that you don't think, oh, that's actually something I should be looking at. It's just things that, like I say, everybody has a lot of platforms. Okay. And they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we're moving forward. But there's some of the things that we need to make sure. Okay, well, in a call we will go through with you. What do you have? But also at the same time, it is a self-assessment. You should have a list of these as well. So again, like I've said, I am going to give you some practical steps to take away to start this journey if you haven't. If you haven't done Cyber Essentials before, it would be really beneficial for you to start investigations internally. Okay. And then if you want to come to us to get the certification, and absolutely have those conversations, get you certified, and you can start the process to, you know, staying compliant all year round. Um, Controls need to be consistent. So if you put one control, so say you have one platform and only certain people have access to it, your finance team, okay, that's great. That's locked down, okay. But then you have your SharePoint and everyone has access to it, unfettered access. There's, contracts on there. There's, uh, payroll information that has been saved out of one area to another. That's not consistent because you've locked down your payroll software, which is brilliant. But, you know, someone can still go in from another department and see what they're copying out into SharePoint. That's not consistent. All right. Consistency is key. Cyber Essentials. You'll probably be hearing me say that a lot if I assess you, but that's the crux of it. It's you can't just have, oh yeah, we locked down this, but this is all a free for all. There will be questions asked, but why is this a free for all? You store anything that you shouldn't on there? Do you store anything that is, sensitive? And if the answers are usually yes, yeah, we do actually, all the payroll data is on there. Well, we need to lock that down. Again, stuff that we can go through with you, walk you through them, and even remediate. We can absolutely do all that for you, but it's the more you know. All right. Nobody is going to go through. If you haven't gone through cybers, you're not going to go through and immediately go, "Well, we have all of this." You're going to sort of look at it, and it's a big task to get your head around. So we're absolutely here to support you on your journey. And any evidence that you provide needs to match the reality. Okay. So if you say something is has MFA on it, you will be asked to evidence that at some point. Okay. So if something doesn't have MFA, it's best to say, we don't have MFA on this at the get go. And before any sort of, we go through any sort of assessment, get it known. Okay, we haven't got it. Can we get it on there? Yeah, let's get it on there. Everything can be remediated, but until you're assessed, if you're assessed and then it's audited and it's not on there, you get your cyber essentials taken away. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. Um, Obviously, we do ask again and again, are you sure? We will, double check it with you, but ultimately, it's a self assessment. So it is best that we do have calls together, and we do say like, if this is a problem, let's get it looked at. If you don't know, let's get it looked at. Okay, because if you pass on to Cyber Essentials Plus, you're going to get audited on whatever's put in Cyber Essentials. Okay, right. So the next slide. So the most common reasons that that organizations fail their compliance. So the MFA is not enabled everywhere. So there are some systems that do not support MFA, and that is absolutely fine. If it doesn't support it, you can prove that. Fine, we'll just exclude that, or we'll put it isn't supported. If it is supported, if you don't have it, and there's organizational data, running through it, that's a problem. All right. So do we just need to be clear? If MFA can be enabled, enable it. Cloud services being missed from scope. So it is easy. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, my cloud services, Google, Microsoft. But then forget something like, oh, my donation CRM, or my HR platform, my financing, my finance platform, my holiday booking, whatever it might be, it's just an oversight. So again, it's one of those things where it would be good to jot down what you have and what cloud services touch organizational information. You may have key data on there for your staff or for donors or for trustees or for whatever it might be, volunteers. Make sure anything that has organizational data within it or it passes through it, you just log it. Yeah, Google Workspace. Yep, Office 365. Yep, my whatever it is, my HR calendar, my HR platform, my finance information, all that, log it and have a list of it. All right. Updates aren't being managed consistently. So during Cyber Essentials, you are audited on your how often updates are applied. So usually there's a 14-day window. The updates have to be applied on or within. If they're not, you can't prove that. That can be a fail. Okay, 9 times out of 10, Intune manages all the updates. You haven't got to worry about it. If it's a Qlic build, Intune manages that for you. But at the same token, if you don't have Intune, if you are managing your own estate for whatever reason, you're not with Qlic or you're just starting out. 14 days is that window. If an update comes out, so just say you've got your phone, you get your notification. I've got one this morning. The new iOS is out. Need to get it on there. Or I've got 14 days to do it, so I'll do it today. And that's with Windows updates as well. I know it's annoying and it always pops up when you're in the middle of something that is time sensitive. But once you finish that task, get the update run, get it installed. Okay, because that's what Cyber Essentials looks at. User access is too loose, so you don't know who has access to what. You're not managing that. So old accounts may even still be active. Sheila hasn't worked in your accounts department for 3 years. You've still got an account open for her that has no MFA on it. It's really easy to lose track of all this. Um, and evidence doesn't match reality. So if you go, oh yeah, look, I've got MFA on this, and we go, yeah, show us, and you can't, again, that causes a fail. Okay. So I would just encourage you to think about whether or not any of these sound familiar in your organization and start the process of documenting all that. Okay. It's a task, not going to lie to you, but all of you are more than capable of doing it. Or if you want to go through with us, please reach out to your account manager. If you don't have an account manager, reach out to inquiries@qlicit.com, and we can help you. That's what we're here for. This is our bread and butter. Um, okay. So this is the practical checklist I was talking about. So MFA being enabled in every device on every service that supports it. Have all cloud services been included in scope? Are updates and patches applied consistently? Are admin accounts limited and reviewed? Are leavers and old accounts removed quickly? Can you evidence the answers in your assessment? All right. So again, a practical checklist you can take away. And if any of those you're sort of like, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. How many admin accounts do we have? Again, speak to us. We can go through all that with you. Okay, so if you are looking to do an assessment or you're preparing for your next assessment, this would be my practical 5-step checklist I would undertake. All right, so you want to map your systems out. You want to know what devices you have in your organization, what users, what platforms and services you would like in scope. So, platforms and services are anything that touches organizational data. All right, um, map that all out, get it written down. Review your MFA. So review every application, not just your 365 or your Google Workplace, your Instagram account. If you're taking pictures of your fundraising, make sure that's got organizational data on there. Okay. Um, you want to make sure that your finance platform has MFA on it. The HR portal has MFA on it. It's these little things that tend to get missed. And look, it's really easy to trust your team. All right. But ultimately, you want to make sure that, Keith from accounts has got it on his MFA on his platforms. You want to make sure Nina in advertising's got it on theirs. These are just, it's really easy to go, okay, well, yeah, no, they've definitely got it. I trust them. Just do a check. There's no harm in checking. You're there to make sure that not just you, but your organization is compliant. And that includes everyone within. Doesn't have to be intrusive. Be a quick conversation. Is everything in order? You got MFA on everything? Yes, no, maybe. All right. But you take that information, the more you know, and you can handle that. Check your patching. Make sure updates are applied consistently. You know how they're done. Okay. If I was to say to all of you today, how do you do your updates? Majority may of you go, oh, that's your problem. That's fair. But ultimately, some of you may do it yourselves. Some of you may not have IT. Okay. How do you do it? Speak to us and we can have a look for you. Clean up your access. Make sure any older people are gone. All right. Sheila from accounts left 3 years ago. Close the account down. All right. Make sure people don't outstay their welcome as admins. And, just make sure that if people don't need to be an admin, they're not. Day-to-day accounts, please do not have day-to-day accounts as administrator. No administrator access on the day-to-day accounts. And gather all your evidence early. So if you know you're going to go down the route of getting a cyber essentials assessment, get all your evidence early doors. All right. You don't want to be scrambling around the 11th hour trying to find out what's what. Get it all done. Save the panic attacks. Save the anxiety. It's stressful. We are here to coach you and guide you through it, or handhold you through the process if you need be. But ultimately, it is a self-assessment. We need to make sure you know what you have. All right. So yeah, don't leave everything until the last minute. Okay, and then we're going to go through some Q&A questions quickly. I appreciate you listening to me waddle on. So we will go through the Q&As now, and I really appreciate you joining me today. We've got some more brunch bites coming up. So, yeah, hopefully we'll see you on those.